of the medieval ages, the dark ages. We've been talking about this shit for like some time now, and times were difficult, very difficult. Like they could kill you for anything, legitimately. What do you think, Clark? You gotta keep the singing going because, like, you needed to hum out the pain and the frustration of the world.
I feel like that song, you know, can we get much higher? When we're looking at the Dark Ages, where humanity just, I'm not gonna say humanity, I'm gonna say a part of humanity plunged into absolute bullshit. That's the only word I could use because it's like, how did this happen?
I think what it is humanity over time has to like learn and adapt, and they didn't fully come to like learn and adapt certain shit. Like understanding was a huge part of what they lacked in their society. Understanding that what you're doing may be a little extreme.
Who are you talking about?
Can we get much higher?
Everybody.
No, you're not. Dark Ages only happened.
Oh yeah, in Europe. Yeah. Basically, that whole continent,
which
right
kind
there.
of, if you really think about it, is just like, what the fuck? But
Don't get me wrong. I know Africans so Africans. Why is this on 22 minutes? Bring the bit back. I've never seen this before. I know Africans so Africans.
You know how they got out the Dark Ages?
They moved on.
The Moors.
The Moors? What's that?
The Moors are Africans. African traveler, conquerors of sorts. Basically came in and cleaned their shit up.
African people?
Can we get much
In
higher?
Europe?
Yes. I promise you.
And they didn't hold control over Europe?
They had it, but then they got all kicked out.
By who?
Europeans.
Europeans came together and kicked them out?
I mean, you know. It's like if Europeans came together and kicked them out because the Moors were in there. Basically, they pretty much, I don't want to say they ran Europe, but they were heavy deep. They had kings and rulers and this, that, and the third, and they kicked them out. That was the first time, and then they went back in, and I don't think they really took it over the second time during the Dark Ages, actually. But they did help them get out of the Dark Ages. But you know, they didn't like Moors because, like the microphone, like the keyboard, and my hair.
They were of a certain color that certain people, a certain color of people also they don't like because of that color that person is. Could you imagine the science behind not fucking with someone because of the color of their skin?
Can we get much higher?
It like doesn't make any sense. Like legitimately. Let's start this video.
The Dark Ages, an era of serial killer thugs called Knights. Oxford-educated academic assassins,
What made them serial
outlandish
killers?
homicide rates, blood
Academic assassins.
What made them serial killers, bro? Were they only killing like
Men and women and children and shit.
eagle-loving Vikings, half-starved peasants
That's
so
everybody.
mad they
That's what
danced
everybody
until they
did.
dropped dead. And who could forget the hairdressers, whose part-time gig was performing horrific amputations? It was a tough life back then, and we're sure you'll agree pretty soon. Let's start with medieval light entertainment. In 1194, on Shrove Tuesday in London, the peasants were out in large numbers for a game of soccer, what's now referred to as mob football. William Fitzstephen, a 12th century English monk, wrote about this game, played by the masses of the town, one giant team against another. His chronicle states Richard I had been crowned King of England for the second time. A great crowd of young Londoners gathered together to play ball. So far, so good. Sounds like fun. But as usual, the game got out of hand. William wrote, The game began in the fields outside the city, but soon moved to the streets and squares, where it became more dangerous and violent. Many were injured and some killed in the tumult. He said the city authorities tried to stop it, but the young men were too numerous and too passionate to be easily restrained. Sport in the Dark Ages, also called the Middle Ages and Medieval Times, from the 5th century to the 15th century, could be a brutal affair. So the peasants loved a bit of soccer. Very,
The 5th
very
century
hardcore soccer.
To the
Sure.
15th century.
That's a long time, bro.
That's 1,000 years.
You are correct.
Shit.
That's a long fucking time. To be... Damn, that's a long fucking time.
When you put it in perspective, yeah. 1,000 years.
To be in the Dark Ages? Holy shit.
And we still have records from 1,000 years
Holy
ago?
crap. When you really think about that, bro. Just even with the soccer game. For them to start playing, for it to move and get violent to the point that some people died, where is the humanity?
It's just 1,000-year period.
Oh,
That's not
that.
even how long ago it was.
Yeah. It wasn't that long ago. It was like what?
What?
So we talk.
The 5th century? We're in 2023.
I guess you're right. Yeah, we're in the
5th century.
20th.
Yes,
Oh.
because it's 20.
That was 5 centuries ago, bro.
That was 5,000 years ago.
500.
500.
A century is 100 years.
Yeah, the medieval ages were from the 5th.
5th to the 15th. If we're in the 20th, that was only 5 centuries ago. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, the 15th century was 5.
Yeah. From the end of it,
Yeah.
it was like 5 centuries ago where they were on that shit.
But this period of time
It's
is
a long fucking time.
1,000 fucking
You know how
years.
much generations went through the Dark Ages? When you really think about that, it's like, damn,
Damn, that's
1,000 years. And I'm pretty bro, you know how many...
Earth is old as shit.
Yeah, that's what... Yeah.
Are we gonna get to?
Wait, let's stay here. Let's stay here before
Oh my
we get
God.
to tell us about this shit. But bro, 5th century to the 15th century, 1,000 years during the Dark Ages, average person was living to be like, what, 30, 40 years old? You know how much generation? That
You
means
know how many people have probably been on Earth?
in 100 years, they could have went through 3 generations just right there, through 1 century. 3! So you're talking about 10. 30 generations of one family lived through the Dark Ages, bro. That's insane. So when you talk about whatever's ingrained in their brain, that shit will maintain. I thought you were gonna jump in.
I was just thinking when
Yeah.
you were beatboxing in the shower, I wrote to it.
I don't remember what I was doing.
You should. I wrote to this. I heard this nigga beatboxing in the shower, and I started writing to it. Fast lanes,
Go ahead, rap it. Let me see.
fast lanes. Wait, let me remember. I don't switch lanes. You don't know, just like great things, great thing. Damn, I can't remember.
I don't remember what I was doing. Yeah.
Wishing and enjoy it. Just like Rick James. Great thing. I'm a big dog. Damn.
It'll come back. I gotta
Hopefully.
I gotta remember what I did. Damn.
The elites liked to joust, and that was rough, but peasants kicking a ball about was far more chaotic. It was a battle as much as it was a fun pastime, and like many of the things you'll hear today, a fine example of just how tough it was to live through the Dark Ages. Just wait until you hear about what happened at Oxford. Your mind will be blown out of your head. To get back to our intense game of
What the fuck
soccer, the
happened at
peasants at the
Oxford?
time
Your
were
mind will
taking
be
in
blown.
Holy
It'll be
fuck.
blown out of your head.
We're about
Like,
to be
goddamn, I'm about to die.
flabbergasted
Yeah, I'm
about what happened
I'm about
at
to get killed,
Oxford.
yo.
bladder, and the two teams, often the men of a whole village or town, would try to get the ball to the other side of the town. There weren't too many rules. The general agreement was you shouldn't kill anyone on the opposing team, although that happened just as William the Monk pointed out. Another chronicle
They
from the
kill people
1200s
over a
talked about
dumbass
two.
fucking game.
3 generations of that in one
Holy
century,
shit!
bro.
You would never think you'd be killed or stabbed to death playing some ball game.
15, 100, 500,
1,000 years of that shit?
1,000, 30 generations, bro. We're on this shit. I'm just saying, it's just like, huh?
How do we still have records of this shit? I don't. That's what I'm really trying to understand, because like
30 generations.
motherfuckers don't have pictures from above their grandparents and shit like that. Like
30. I'm like, we're on this crate playing a game. It's like, the one rule is, don't kill nobody, but it happens. 30 generations. This was 500 years ago.
that's wild as fuck.
Two men who died playing the game. One was smashed in the face with a stone, and the other apparently ran into a dagger. You might think running into a dagger was some shoddy detective work, but you'll understand later why this was nothing out of the ordinary. But it's one reason why kings in both England and France banned mob soccer. The mayor of London under King Edward II called it one of the many evils which God forbid. In 1363, King Edward III of England evidently...
1363. Hey Siri, how many years ago was 1363?
It was 660 years ago.
Who the fuck is that? Bro.
That's Siri.
Siri. Let me not fuck up the channel before it even starts. You know what I'm saying? But Siri sound a little different. I'm just go ahead and say that.
That's like Jarvis. Like, you know how Batman got fucking his AI and shit. Hey Siri, introduce yourself.
Sorry, bro.
Hey Siri, introduce yourself. Maybe he heard what you said.
He heard. Siri is a he now. So how long was it?
Siri is an assistant.
Oh,
What
sure.
the
I mean, whatever, bro. How many years ago was that?
motherfucking nigga said 600.
I don't know what it said. Yo. I'm gonna ask Siri again. Go ahead. What you want me to do? I'm gonna sit here and listen.
Hey Siri, how many years ago was 1363?
It was 660 years ago.
660 years ago.
Bro, what the fuck is wrong with the fucking voice? Like,
Bro, I'm not tripping, dog. I'm just like,
Iron Man got a fucking nigga in his shit.
bro.
Yo.
I just remember Siri sounding different. So it's like, okay, now Siri sound is like, should its name still be Siri?
Siri has no gender.
Why then did Siri sound like a female?
You didn't know you can change their voice?
But shouldn't the name change as well?
It does.
So can't you call him something else?
No, it's still Siri.
Why can't you say like Bill? Like Mufasa?
You know, that might be an option in the Shortcuts app.
I'm just saying, if Siri has no gender, okay, well, why was Siri always a girl? And now all of a sudden you can change Siri's voice to sound much more masculine, but the name is still Siri. Maybe we should change it to Paul,
Maybe like Siri,
Jacob.
when they first created her. I say her
Quote,
because
unquote.
I'm thinking like of the female
But
voice.
most people would think Siri is a female.
Yeah.
I feel like actually everybody would think that.
You think so?
Yes.
Holy fuck. I think it's based on the voice.
And shouldn't the name? But no,
Shouldn't the name change too?
because I don't have a problem. With
No, that would make sense too if the name were
Is
to
this a new
change.
feature?
It's been like that
For how long?
forever. I could have been
I have never heard Siri have a different voice before. Ever.
ever.
In my life.
This,
This is the first one I've ever heard.
this has been an option ever since I bought these. I just never used it.
What iPhone did they start doing this on?
This is not nothing new. This is nothing new.
Siri always could
Always could have.
change her voice.
Not in the beginning, of course, but like Well, the years, it's been years. Like you can just like.
Under Obama as president?
I would definitely say like towards the end of Obama, yeah, for sure.
Interesting. Okay. So 660 years.
Yeah, that's a long ass time.
Bro, I feel like our math is off because if that was 660 years ago, I'm talking about 15th century to 20th century. That can't be 500 years. You see what I'm saying? Our math is fucking
This is
off.
1363. But
15th.
you were doing it 1563, so this is a little bit further.
No, but 15th century then would be what year?
The 15th century, like 1563. This is the 13th century. After that, before that, we 12th century. Yeah.
Killjoy banned football, cockfighting,
No,
iron
not
throwing,
even like
other
no.
things
It
she
is,
says
it is
with
one of those things you gotta think about, bro. But it's like
damn, I'm dumb.
me. I really just guessed it. Well, that is just that's the first number. So the 13th century.
Oh, you're right.
predisposition of the idol. The king noted that these people's time would be much better spent practicing archery for the next war.
Yeah.
Time back then.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Like be for real. Like
Oh, you want
what
to play
the
sports?
fuck are they doing?
Try to hit the
Playing
target.
a fucking.
Trying to
Is
get-
that a dress turned into a sack? What guards? Who made this?
Kill them?
Yes. Do as my brother says.
Make them an example.
And don't ever let that happen again. And tell all those fucking boys, those idiots, to pick up a goddamn arrow and practice that shit for the next fucking war.
The king is not amused.
That's what they're.
He's not amused.
You know they.
Of course.
It's not the right man is always the right man like I mean the yes man yes man this is like a yes man like yes
He'll do anything.
All the time. Life expectancy was about 30 years at the time, although it was better for the nobility than for the
Do
commoners.
you know how
As the
much
philosopher-
generations went through the Dark Ages, bro? Like think about that.
bro. The
Think
life
about
expectancy
that.
was fucking 30.
Think about how many. Think if there was a family called the Schmidt Seigers or whatever, and they were from Europe, obviously from Europe. How many generations of the Schmidt-Seigers went through the Dark Ages before the first generation got out the Dark Ages? Do you know what they would have learned through the Dark Ages?
Nothing. Shit, goddamn, like holy fuck.
Their
Because
mind will be something that you couldn't possibly understand. There's no way. How?
their life expectancy was fucking 30.
I would be dead.
Yeah.
You would be knocking on death's door.
Or you. Yeah. Or you be an old ass fucking man.
I'd be old in that society.
Yeah, old as fuck. That's weird as shit.
31.
God bless your soul.
Yeah, bro.
Like, God
It's
bless
all
your
time.
fucking
And it's
soul.
like, yeah, I'm getting there too.
I'm getting there too. 30? I mean, I feel like that number is so far fetched. That's so young.
But
Like,
that just goes to show like it's only hygiene and war. How fucking bad it was over
the
there.
war, like, cause like there's no medical nothing. Like, you get hurt, like we just gotta cut that shit off and keep
Right.
it going. Like, that's it. Wrap it up.
Still bleeding? Cook
Mm.
one more.
Let's pour some fucking
Bring me the fire.
tomato on it. I don't know.
Fucking burn it till it stops bleeding and wrap up.
They probably didn't even do that
And
shit.
then now you got an infection. He just
Keep
grabs
cutting
his
it off.
shirt and just rips it and just wrap
Infection.
it up. Like it doesn't even matter.
That's
wow.
crazy. You couldn't even hit nothing back then, cause I'm pretty sure all the women got shitty ass booties and shit like that. Like,
That is disgusting. Like absolutely.
bro, think about that shit. No one has toilet paper. You know what they use to wipe?
Ugh.
Hay and fucking grass. So like,
You're wiping your ass with shit.
and then your period comes, cause it's not
That's
like that.
also very disgusting.
It's not like that shit's anything new. You know what I'm
that's-
saying?
No, but just to think about like you're walking around and like
You start bleeding.
not me, but you just see women just
Yeah, bleeding or smell disgusting.
or they just have the smell just like
What the fuck is that smell like? Yeah, bro. Period smell.
Bro, 30 generations went through this shit, bro.
Oh my god, you're still on that shit. Like,
Bro, 30, bro.
who could imagine? And like, who knows? We could be like reconstructions of a prior past life. Like, we could be reincarnated or some
30,
shit.
yeah.
And I just can't even think, like, if I was reincarnated and I had the memories of my past life and I think really
You never
hard,
heard of past life transgression?
I just can't. I don't have those memories of dark medieval
You
times.
can go to, there's people you can go to and they can, through meditation and stuff, try to tap you into your past lives.
I don't want to get scammed. No, bro, they're gonna tax me $250 for a fucking.
Why would it be cheap?
Why would it be cheap? Right,
Yeah,
like
something like that.
What the fuck? You want me to do what? You want me to scam you? $250? Hell no.
For Thomas Hobbes said later in time, life for most people was poor, nasty, brutish, and short. People in the Dark Ages lived under what's called a feudal system. This was a hierarchy with a monarchy right at
The king owned all the land in the country and he made the laws. He gave an
Holy
area
fuck.
of land
Where you
called,
read this at?
at the top. He gave the area of land called a fief to rich lords and nobles. Then you have, in return, the lords and nobles agreed to supply the king with soldiers and horses for his army. Interesting. The nobles gave some land to professional soldiers. In return, these knights fought for nobles and the king. Peasants worked the land for the nobles and knights, who in turn offered them protection. Ain't this a pyramid scheme, bro? You work the land, you protect the lords and the kings. The lord supplies the king with the knights. That doesn't make any type of sense, but the king owns everything.
Why are the lords not
the king.
using
The knights
the
to kill
knights?
the king.
The king owns the land. Why don't they just overthrow the king and take it for
Exactly.
themselves? I'm pretty sure that's what they probably ended up doing a lot of the time. Hence why there was so much war.
But it doesn't make no type of sense. The king, why is the king even, why does he get to make laws? How did he get the land? He doesn't even have the knights. He doesn't even own the knights.
On the land in the country. Yeah, how did he get the
How?
land? Did he buy the land from another king? So that means there's a bigger king. There always has to be a bigger king. Who's the biggest king is the
The
real question.
lords supply the military aid. That to me is crazy. So
Vessels to king. Military aid.
I guess it
loyalty.
makes sense because when you watch like movies and stuff, there'll be a lord with his own faction of armies and stuff like that, and they work for the king, but whatever the lord says to do, that's what they're gonna do. I don't
This
see
lord and this lord bring their armies together
Right.
under the king's command.
why is the king even important at this point.
But then will the king have his own separate army?
You would think he would.
So if the king takes his separate army plus these two armies and makes it one big ass army, because they had thousands of people marching through that shit.
But those two lords would still be in command. They'd be in command of their own armies. And if they decide not to listen to the king, their armies are gonna follow them. And it would suck to be a peasant. I mean, for what?
Oh, you're a fucking peasant.
I'm paying you rent and I'm farming your land, and in return you let me have food and shelter, and you offer me some sort of protection. Nigga.
So these are the nobles. Anyone down here, you're nobody. You would probably try your hardest to become a knight to try to fight with them, a soldier, try to make your way up to the ranks and shit. And then to get here, I don't know how you're gonna
I
get
don't
here.
think a knight will ever become a lord.
How the fuck are you gonna?
How?
You would have to be born into
You have
this.
to be born into
yeah,
it.
I don't know how you're gonna, unless you get married into it. But even then,
Bro, I don't know, bro. How would you ever
How
get
the
that
fuck would-
high?
bro, you have to be in the family, bro.
Like a lord could definitely become a king. I can see that.
But there's no way. I don't
A
see
peasant
no
can
way.
become
A knight?
but I can never see a knight, becoming a lord. Never.
You're never gonna get this high, bro. He was a what? He was a knight in a whose army? How did he become king?
Yeah, that doesn't unless but they be showing that in movies sometimes. Like he'll be a knight and he's really fucking good, and the king dies and everybody looks to him to run the.
That's
thing.
fake
But
movie
that's
shit,
movie
bro.
shit, yeah.
Because look at the people in the UK,
the
like
king would never
they-
actually go on the battlefield. I don't think he would really do that. For what?
I don't know their last names. Do they have last names?
Who?
Like Queen Elizabeth and motherfucking the Prince Philip, like what the fuck? Like
Prince Harry. What the fuck are their last names?
I hope no one comes and busts out our door because
Oh my god.
Hey Siri, What's Queen Elizabeth's last name?
According to Wikipedia, it's Windsor.
Windsor.
Oh yeah. Windsor Tower Palace or some shit like that.
What? I thought that was their last name.
Bro, never in a million years.
Elizabeth Windsor. Okay, so, motherfucking, they've been the same family doing that shit for like,
Ever?
yeah. How the fuck do they do that?
They marry
Incest.
incest, and they only marry royalty. Only. That's why I guess with I don't know about Kate Middleton.
She's not part of their family.
She is, bro. She's married to Prince
Yeah,
Williams.
she's of course, but she's not blood.
But if Prince Williams ever becomes king, she will be queen.
That'll be the first queen to not be part of royal blood.
But Queen Elizabeth married into that.
Queen Elizabeth was already like royal.
She was queen because her husband died.
No, she was queen because her father died.
No, but she wasn't the Queen of England. She became the Queen of England when.
Well, actually, her mother died. Her mother died because her mother was Queen of England, and then she became Queen of England.
Oh yeah, because she. Oh yeah. Because now her husband is king.
Yes.
King Charles. Right. Okay. Why did?
Yeah, she became queen like dummy young, like
Yeah.
in her 20s or like.
So she's been queen for a long time.
Imagine like being that boy, like he was always nice to her, friends with her. You know what I'm saying? Like going to the school, like I know you're gonna be queen one day. Like
And she becomes queen. And she doesn't even
Hello,
look your way
Philip.
anymore.
Oh.
You have a happy story.
You have a real life
Reality
story. Yeah,
She
you
becomes
have a
queen,
real
and like
life.
now you're dead.
You
to
have
her.
a real life story. Oh, bro, she doesn't even know you.
She
Like
doesn't
she
even
can't
look
hang out
your
with
way.
you.
Like she might, for like the very first time with the public appearance, she might throw you a little, and then she'll never, ever look at you again.
That's sad. And you have to really eat it up and just move on. Like just
I mean,
chop
you
it
can
up.
say, I knew the queen one time. People gonna be like,
Oh yeah.
fuck it. And look at you mopping the floor. Come on, get back to work.
Yeah. Chop, motherfucker. Chop.
At the top, peasants were at the bottom, with nobles and lords in the middle. The nobility owned the land, which they could give to someone like a knight. Not all people who ran the lord's land, or fief, were knights. Some simply held the land, what we call
Fife.
Fife. We know some shit. We gonna start saying this. I want to buy some fife. Nigga, what the fuck is fife?
No, you become a fife.
Not all people who ran the lord's land, or fief, were knights.
Fife is people who ran the Lord's land. Not all people who ran the Lord's land.
Or
fife.
fife. People who ran the Lord's land.
See, but I don't want to be a fife because
No,
that
I don't
means
wanna be a
no,
fife.
yeah, because that means that land is still owned by
No.
someone. So
I want to be the Lord. I don't want to.
technically, we're fifes right now. Because even if your house is paid off, you still gotta pay for some
Property tax.
crazy reason. Property taxes. My mind's blown.
Property tax is a scam too.
I bought the house. I paid off the house. I still have to pay taxes on this shit.
On the land.
Yeah, bro.
Why?
Because it wouldn't be on the house. You paid the house off, but now you're basically renting out the plot that the house sits on. I don't know.
Is it being paid right now?
Property
Like,
taxes?
yeah.
Yes. It's never ending. It's forever. It's forever. Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. I never get why we have to pay for shit like, oh, you gotta pay taxes to build the roads. Bitch, shouldn't you just be fixing the fucking roads?
This shit doesn't make no
It
sense.
doesn't.
Because everything
Shouldn't
we
you just
buy
fix
already is
Shouldn't
taxed.
you just fix the road? Why
That's
are
the
they
dumbass shit I don't
additional?
get. I don't
Oh,
like.
taxes help with schooling. Shouldn't you just make
No,
the damn school?
it's to fund their military.
Shouldn't you just have?
Because
this
look
stuff
how
being
many
made?
billions of dollars they keep giving out to other countries to support their military. This shit doesn't make no fucking sense.
While
And
there's whole zones in Philadelphia, California.
people are fucking broke and homeless
They're
as fuck.
eating out the garbage can. There's rats in New York that are eating better than some people. Do you
That shit
understand
doesn't
this
make
shit?
no fucking sense.
A rat be this big. A person be this skinny. Bro, there are rats in New York that have pizza every single night.
That's probably why it's so big.
Bro, they're huge.
Probably the size of a small dog.
I see. Bro, like Reese's size. There's okay, maybe not Reese's size.
No, for real.
But
Probably
they're
the size of Reese's.
like Gino size. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
They said they found a way to kill the rats. They pump like
Biggest rat ever found.
they pump like
The capybara, the world's largest.
this shit went straight to
Biggest rat in New York.
There may be some rats out there in the city that are larger.
They showed me a capybara. Like,
So wait, bro, why is that Siri?
I didn't change it on my phone.
Oh, okay, you just changed that. Okay.
More AI, you know.
Bro, the reason I bring this up is because you said this happened like, end of Obama's presidency, right when, and I'm not saying shit, I'm just pointing out coincidences, right when transgenderism started to really move. And it's just like now you got Siri, but Siri can sound like a guy. But we still call it Siri. So it's like
I think the fact that computers
Interesting.
don't have genders can't really we can't really say like Siri's a woman.
you don't feel like that's a fault in our system?
No, I feel like that's because she's a computer. And I say she because you keep saying she's a she.
But when we drive cars, we instantly think our car is a female. If you're a guy, it's a female.
I've never thought that shit.
I've never done that.
Like my car still doesn't have a name.
I'm not gonna name mine either.
No, yeah, because like I always thought like I can get into a car accident and my car's gonna be gone. I would never name my phone, but my phone's like dummy expensive. Like, I don't just don't name shit. Children are priceless. Children are goddamn priceless. You have to
But
name
it's like,
them.
okay. Never mind. This is about to go so fucking left.
It can't be.
If you don't think you should, because there are people who they don't give their child a gender. Should you name them?
They don't give their child a gender, and they're gonna name their child.
Why would you even name
Well,
it?
Elon Musk named his child like a formula. Like
That is what it is.
So
bro.
yeah, so I
With some
mean,
weird.
swear to God, so his name is genderless. as fuck.
Celebrities
Like,
be
okay.
naming their children some shit.
This is
that's
more
just
than just a celebrity. This is like part owner of the world. And I said the world because like you
No,
have
the world. I would agree with you.
most of the money in circulation.
Is he the richest person in the world?
Yes. For you to be the richest person in the world, like you're a human.
You know how much money you have? I mean, they put a dollar sign on it, and I'd be believing it. They put a dollar sign on it, but whatever you see, that is not all they have. There's no possible way, because if you get into like let's be honest here, if you got like 10 or 15 or 20 million dollars, people that the normal person would never know. So you can easily hide some fucking money
Oh, bro.
that'll never be found. So if you're talking about
$1 billion?
if you're talking about you're in the billions, well, you only have $5 billion. I don't.
I
believe
get
that.
$5,000. I guess.
Fuck you mean, dog?
What the fuck? $1 billion? And then you have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 100, $300 billion? Like, bro.
That's what they tell you. I
have some?
I would not be surprised if there are legitimately people walking out around the world with like trillions of dollars, bro.
Can I-
Endless. It's like
The
forever.
Saudi family.
Whatever I want to do, whatever you possibly could think of, I could do it.
The royal family in Saudi Arabia, they're like trillionaires. Like, no cap. They have so much money. They gifted like all the players on their football team a Rolls Royce. Can you believe
And
that?
that probably was nothing to them.
A fucking Rolls
Nothing.
Royce.
I'm saying, I don't give a fuck.
Here you go.
What should we give them? Give them a fucking Rolls Royce anyway. And they just click back on
What
Netflix
a
and
gift!
just get right back to the shit.
What a Can you imagine? Let's say you like got barely any playing time. Like, let's say you played for like 30 minutes,
And
you still pull a Rolls Royce out your fucking pocket. Hey, bravo, man!
It
You
doesn't
did
even make
it.
sense for people to have that much money, though, bro. I can only imagine what it was like back then.
To have that much money.
No, but the gap would have been so much more.
What the fuck was even money back then?
Gold, shillings,
That's fucking crazy.
gold bullion or something.
This piece of fucking
This coin,
and it's made shitty
but
too.
that would be real money though, because it'd be actual gold. It'd be it. Not only their money would be
You have to
worth,
physically have
you
it,
have to actually have. There is no credit,
which
card.
is
You have-
hard
you-
because someone that means someone can come and take
if your
it.
house is burning down, your money is going with it.
You ever hear about castle burning down?
I'm pretty sure it happened. But they were made out of like stone or whatever. I feel like they're hard
To burn
to
down,
burn down. It's like,
and they probably take a long ass time to make, like
Castle?
generations.
yeah,
15 years type shit.
bro, that's half of somebody's life back then.
Imagine they work on the site the whole time.
I would imagine they'd be
My
working.
most loyal builder.
They'd be working like 24/7. Obviously, they had to sleep and eat, but no days off.
I give you
What was that last thing you put
a
down?
whole bunch of shit
Oh.
to change his fucking life. Like,
It's funny. I'm talking like, what the fuck was that?
like
That shit looked important. It looked heavy too. Like, what is that?
it was supposed to be heavy as fuck.
What?
I changed that nigga's life. He been working on the castle for 15 years.
See that shit?
Yeah, he about to. You good? You never gonna work a day. Hey, nobody's gonna fuck with you. You gonna have access to the royal castle at all times. Like, you my most royal builder. Anytime I need some shit built, you
I
gonna
don't
be
feel like
the.
they would even pay him like that, bro.
It depends on the king. It depends on the
I
king.
feel like all kings were shitty kings. Man.
I feel like in
All
that
of
case,
them,
if
bro.
there was someone that was that loyal and actually helped that much and was leading this shit, he's gonna keep him as like his
Keep
personal,
close,
like
yeah,
yeah,
keep
super
close.
close, like my most loyal builder. But he probably really didn't give a fuck about him for like no kind of like
He's from king.
they're selfish as fuck.
Knights, some simply held the land, what were called vassals. They had an allegiance
So
to
the
support the
land
Lord.
is a vassal.
The land is the vassal.
Yeah.
Some simply held the land, what were called vassals.
Oh no.
They had an allegiance.
The ones who just held it, they didn't run it.
Or knights simply held the land. Okay, so they were vassals. That's what it said in this. Vassals to lords. Oh, well, they're vassals too. They gotta figure out how they say it.
To support the Lord, who in turn had an allegiance to the monarchy. Knights, on the other hand, could have been landless or have land granted to them. At the bottom of the pile, which was the majority of the people, 85 to
Oh,
90%, were the peasants. A
The
type of
majority of the people.
85 to 90%. So if the people were,
85 to 9%
it's their
of
brain,
humans
bro.
were peasants.
It's their brain in the Middle Dark Ages in Europe. It's their brain. Had they all legitimately been like, fuck this shit, and grabbed their sickles and pitchforks, machetes, I'm pretty sure they had, and they could have killed everybody.
Yeah, bro.
Cause
But they probably don't know how to fight.
85% against 15%. I don't care how good you are.
But then you had to think about the people that are loyal as fuck to the king and shit because they know that if you step out of line, they're gonna kill your ass.
They're scared of the king.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
they're
like,
scared of him. They're not really loyal to him.
how is the majority of the population peasants? Like, are they poor?
That's
How-
what I'm trying to
And
say.
what are their living
That
situations?
wealth gap back then had to be so. Like, you talk about, what's his name?
It was here and there.
There's Elon Musk is somewhere here. We're like on the ground somewhere. We're broke as fuck compared to him. But then you talk about the king. If the king is all right here, the peasants are like, they say if you dig all the way down, you can reach China. They're in China then, bro. The gap is like that much. That's just crazy.
You're literally a nobody.
You're nothing.
the
And you'll
peasant
never
was a
be
serf.
something.
They owned diddly squat. They were tied to the
They
land.
said
Up-
diddly.
When you hear words like that, that means literally nothing.
They owned
Diddly squat.
nothing. They had no money, no land, no income, no house. They that shit he had. That's what they gave
That's
you.
what he owned. That sickle is his prized possession.
He should have been swishing that bit like the Grim
What's
Reaper.
weird is they're showing him with like a gray beard, and he's probably like 27, 28 years
Yeah.
old. Like, he's probably 12, 4.
That's crazy. So, what age you think boys was losing their virginity? Like,
20, you got good 10 years, and then you're dead.
what
Bro,
the fuck?
a good 10
20?
years and you're gone.
You're crazy. They was probably doing that shit way younger.
See, the thing, I think it
That's
was,
what I don't
I
understand.
think you're actually right, because they probably were having, the women probably having children like around
12.
like 13. Yeah, I was gonna say like, well, 12, yeah, like young as shit.
Dummy young. Because if you're having a baby at 12, 13, if you weren't doing it more recently, that means you have. I can't.
You'll be
We can't even get into that shit. We can't even get into that shit
You'll be
because
30-year-old. You'll be 30 years old with like a 15-year-old.
crazy as fuck. Like
Nigga,
fucking pause.
Paul's walking like this. Nigga's 30.
Old as hell.
30 years old.
How you think incels were? Like you think because like that wasn't a
Who
thing.
the fucking alpha males back then?
Do you think? I don't think everyone was getting pussy. Like I don't.
I think they were incels, but I didn't think they were as drastic as the incels of today. Like it was just like they came to the realization, I'm not ever gonna get no pussy
What?
unless I steal it.
I'm 21. I'm old as fuck. I'm about to drop.
You're not getting no fucking pussy.
What do you? Damn, I'm going to tickets. It sounds like
Going to what?
It sounds like niggas back then would just take that shit. Like, be for real.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that happened, but I feel like that if you get, I feel like getting caught was gonna be hard. But if you get caught, it's like
Is it even illegal?
I'm pretty sure it would be illegal.
I feel like it would be illegal
if they catch you, they probably
because
just
it's a
cut your
sin
head
to
off.
do it before marriage.
See, tell this sin shit. I don't even. People
Oh,
be
man.
saying this stuff, but then you see how they were living. It's
We're
just
only
like,
3 minutes into the video.
exactly 3 minutes and 33 seconds.
That's crazy as fuck.
Other peasants who worked some kind of trade were called freemen. They were free to move about. There were also different levels of serfdom. Some serfs could move from manor to manor. Serfs had very few legal rights or protections. They couldn't even get married without the Lord's permission.
See?
They had to pay the Lord for this right. Something called
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? Shit, the Bible and stuff like. I need to ask your permission to marry this. Are you God?
That's
called a
crazy.
merchant. When the serf died, he had to pay, which meant the Lord had a legal.
Oh, you died. No.
Now his family will suffer. They'll have to pay the what? So you tell me, God forbid, one of my people pass, he didn't come and take all my shit? Come forth if you dare. But God
You
forbid.
died. No, that was the arrow going through your head, bro.
My head?
Yeah, they killed you. You pulled the. What are you fucking?
I heard my head. My arrow,
You put the arrow right in hand.
Yeah, like what the
It splits.
right down the middle, like we coming for all that shit. But you know them swords were heavy as
Once
fuck.
you do
So
that, hey, stop! I want him. I need you.
who is he? Man, listen, they come and take your shit. That's crazy as fuck. We cutting niggas down. You might as well take me too. I might as well be right next to this nigga
kill
too.
me.
Like the thing is, it took me so long to get everything I had. Like the little.
You don't have anything.
That's the thing.
You
And
don't
that's
have-
the thing. What are they coming to take from my
Your
family?
roof is made of straw. Do you understand that shit?
Do I even have a roof, bro?
It's made of straw, bro.
Do I even have a
Straw.
roof?
And mud.
But they had wood to make fucking crosses and shit. That's
They had to
crazy.
cut that tree down today.
If they can make castles that big, I mean, they can have made little houses and
That's
shit
why.
like
That's
that.
the gap, bro.
Or like a big structure to house everybody in.
And this shit really didn't change because, like you just said, if they can make castles that stand like 12 fucking stories high, and people are talking about now that he dies, now he has to pay. It's the same thing today. If somebody has $200-300 billion, but then we also got people that literally sleep on the ground. It's just like, no offense to anybody, but people got like sitting on 200 acres, and you got motherfuckers out here who can't buy a house to save their life. The distributed power is the same
Yeah.
It's the same, bro.
Legal right to take everything the serf owned. This was called Harriet. If that sounds unfair, it's because it was. In 1214, a chronicler described lords who took Harriets as vultures that prey upon death, worms feeding upon the corpse. It's hard to imagine the emotional toll this unfair system would have taken on the serfs' mental health. While options for coping with stress and anxiety were scarce in the 13th century, we're fortunate to have access to modern resources for our emotional well-being today. That's why we want to thank BetterHelp for sponsoring with preference. You can talk, your therapist, BetterHelp, use custom description. Plow for him and go to war for him when required, which fell under the term fix the Lord's house. Plow for him and go to war for him when required, which fell under the term boon work. To quote a movie, serfs were the most wretched, miserable, servile, pathetic trash ever pooped into humanity. But at least these people were given a chance to survive. They often didn't when the harvests were bad, but their existence was a damn sight better than being a slave. Slaves had no rights at all. They were bought and sold and, unsurprisingly, often treated badly. You know very well that the Romans kept slaves, but the slave trade in Europe went into overdrive after the Roman Empire. In England, the Angles and the Saxons traded slaves with each other, and also with the Vikings when the Vikings weren't raiding villages or taking away all their children. We can't talk about the Dark Ages without giving the Vikings a bit of our video space. As you might have guessed from watching TV shows, the Scandinavian Vikings were a bit of a handful. In the 9th and 10th centuries, they wreaked havoc across Europe and beyond. But England was a hotspot of brutality before the Vikings settled there. In those centuries, they conducted over 200 raids on England, and they weren't ever nice raids. The people of the Kingdom of Northumbria experienced appalling levels of Viking violence. Still, everywhere they went, Dublin, Orkney, and the Shetlands off the coast of Scotland, East Anglia, and more, the Vikings gave no quarter to the locals. In 866, according to one chronicle, the Danes made great slaughter
What
at
fucking
York.
chronicle from 866 do you have? How do we still have documents?
I feel like we have every document we could possibly ever need, but they're never going to tell you what we have. They're going to tell you that.
How?
We're missing this, we're missing that. It's pretty weird, right?
I just don't see how they're able to maintain documents from that long ago. Like, I don't even have my homework from high school.
You, sir, were not a scholar.
No, I wasn't.
They have scrolls.
Yeah, and books.
They have that shit.
And you know, when they show pieces of paper from back then, they'd be like
Old as shit.
and they'd be like, "What the fuck is
Looking
that?"
like the color of that cup right there.
Yeah, like
But the writing on it, be pristine. You can read nothing faded.
you can't even touch it because it's probably so
You
thin.
can't touch that shit. It's just a duress.
York had been an
It's
important
gonna crumble
Roman
in your
settlement,
hand.
but after the empire fell, the Anglo-Saxons took over, as they did all over England. It was an important place, which is why Ivar the Boneless, and a top commander of the so-called Great Heathen Army of Ubba, didn't show any mercy upon their arrival there. The Norse poem, Krak Humal, also said that the Vikings wanted revenge after the Anglo-Saxons had... The Norse poem, Krak Humal, also said that the Vikings wanted revenge after the Anglo-Saxons had put the Danish king and superhero in Norse mythology, Ragnar Lodbrok, in a snake pit. Ivar and Ubba
A
literally
snake pit?
weren't
Let me write about
mythology,
that. Is that what he said?
Ragnar Lodbrok in a snake pit. Ivar and Ubba literally weren't taking any prisoners when they arrived in York. The saga state they did the worst thing possible to King Ela of Northumbria. The Old English text says they slaughtered everyone, men, women, and children. They then asked for a tribute, which they said would make them ease off on the mass killing, but even when they got their payment, they kept on with the slaughter. As for King Ela, the sagas state he was given the dreaded blood eagle. The poem states they caused the bloody eagle to be carved on the back of Ela, and they cut away all of the
Fuck. What do they call that shit? The bloody eagle?
eagle. The poem states they caused the bloody eagle to be carved on the back of Ela, and they cut away all of the ribs from the spine, and then they ripped out his lungs.
30 generations of this shit, bro. I have to keep saying that because you never think about it like that. This is the life they were living. Vikings, there's so much Viking shows on TV, and it's like, okay, it sounds cool. But when you think of what a Viking actually was, like, brutal.
Rip out your lungs? Because, like, when they cut you up and break your ribs, That
rip your spine apart from the back. You know what I'm saying? So there's your spine, and then they have to break that. Just keep breaking them so that way they can pull your lungs in. Bro, what?
that's worse
What?
than just dying. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
Stomp my brain.
and then when they rip your lungs out, like you're gonna be breathing,
I don't even know if you'll be able to breathe because the pressures will be different and stuff.
or yeah, your fucking nervous system's gonna be fucked or some shit. Like, but if you are breathing, and they rip,
want to breathe.
oh my god, and they rip your lungs out mid breath, like, because it's like you're gonna just. That's crazy as fuck.
You can only
Like,
imagine what those
bro.
local folks in places like Bridlington in Yorkshire felt when they saw Viking ships in the distance. But the Vikings
Oh
weren't
my
all
god!
about
Right?
Bury yourselves. Bury the children. Bury the children. Take a straw. Put a straw in their mouth. Just breathe through the straw.
Bro, you gotta,
We'll get you.
you gotta run it high. You gotta run it fucking high,
We'll get you
nigga.
when it's over.
Hide anywhere, like hide in a tree, hide like run away, bro.
Hide in a tree sounds good, yeah.
What?
Climb a tree. See, I don't even know if I'll have children at this time like this. Like, I need to be solo dolo 24/7. So that way, if I gotta,
You don't know how people have kids, so like the girl that you fuck is just gonna get pregnant and it's gonna be yours.
Huh? Yeah, maybe. Genetically.
I guess so.
I'm jumping in the tree.
Yes. So.
I'm not moving an inch.
Oh
They
my
can be there for 2
god.
months. I don't even need to eat. Put
Yeah.
that shit on myself. I'm pretty sure they were used to it anyways.
They should have been running already.
Bro,
Like,
they've been-
nah, bro. Like, I'm out that bitch.
Parity, they created Dane law in England, a legal system that espoused the importance of community and family relationships. Sure, the Vikings were fearless and at times brutal, but they weren't always heartless. Everyone back then, to some extent, had to be ruthless from time to time. The Anglo-Saxons massacred the Danes too. In 1004, they did that in a part of England, and the record showed that they thought the Danes deserved it. Part of the text read, the Danes who had sprung up on the island, sprouting like a cockle amongst the wheat, were to be destroyed by a most just extermination.
Wow.
You don't see anyone talking about just war crimes today. All over England, the Anglo-Saxons did this to the Vikings. Archaeological sites show that they attacked unarmed people and then chopped off their heads. Violent xenophobia was the norm back then. The Vikings landed in North America, Russia, France, Iceland, and Greenland, usually surprising the local communities and not sparing those who fought back. But they didn't always slaughter the women and children. They had a
North
particular
America?
fondness for pillaging
I'm
and
not gonna
plundering
act much
churches.
about that.
Holy men weren't exactly good at defending themselves, and there were often valuables in the church or at the monasteries. In other places, they just demanded a tribute to be paid forth, or else. After 200 years of
So they
this,
didn't
parts of
even
the
hurt
British
people
Isle-
in the religion. They just wanted the fucking
Take your shit.
offering. Yeah.
You can't fight.
They can't fight, and maybe they're really close to God, so maybe they was just like,
Could be, yeah. But are they the same God? Probably not.
they believe in two different gods.
What? Vikings,
Who do
bro?
Vikings believe in?
Damn, what's the nigga's name? Odin. Otis. Is it Otis? Like gods like that. Thor and shit like that. Even though Thor is based off of, while the other ones, Jesus. Well, I don't even know if it was Jesus. I don't even know if it was alive back then, but I don't think it was the same gods. I highly doubt it, bro.
Hey Siri, who did Vikings believe in as their god?
The cult of Odin flourished across much of northern Europe and gained strength in the AD 700s and 800s, the age of the Vikings. This answer is from encyclopedia.com.
Hey Siri, repeat that.
The cult of Odin flourished across much of
Cult
northern
of
Europe
Odin.
and gained strength in the AD 700s and 800s.
You ever seen American Gods?
This answer
Shit's
is from
dope.
encyclopedia.com.
That's what the Vikings believe in is Odin.
Odin.
That was God.
He's a war god.
They just warriors. That's why if
I don't like to call them warriors. I like to call them maybe warmongers. Cause
they're
could be-
definitely warriors.
A warrior to me is somebody who fights for a cause, a legitimate cause. To me,
That's subjective because anyone's cause is
it's subjective, but they would just go into places and kill men, women, and
For
children.
sport.
That's not a warrior to me.
How else are you supposed to learn how to do it to actually conquer some shit? I'm not saying that's a good thing. I would never do that as a leader. Like, that's like crazy as fuck.
I hear
But
you.
at the same time, can I see where they're coming from? Absolutely. As a king, I would see them, massacre one of my cities and go massacre one of their fucking cities, and we're gonna go tit for if we can.
If they just massacred one of your cities,
They were losing. The Vikings are losing that shit every time against the Anglo-Saxons. They were losing. They just said it. They would go and wipe their cities out.
Else were full of these Viking folk and their offspring. Their laws and their language played
I heard
an
Viking women had big ass titties. I don't know where I heard that from.
yeah, I was like,
But I heard that from, I think I was watching something on TV and it was...
how do they know?
No, it was something I was watching. It was a Viking and the Viking was like talking about like girdle in her bosoms or some
But
shit.
you're watching a show.
Yeah, I was watching something on TV. I don't know what it was.
Well, I mean, they're gonna show them big, obviously, but it's just like,
They talked about it big in the show
why,
and...
why do they show them big? Actually, now I see what you're saying.
Yeah, like even in the shows they be big as hell.
part in the formation of Britain. But the people that changed everything were the Normans, who had been Vikings themselves as they settled in northern France. It was the Normans that wrote in the Doomsday Book that says in 1086 about 10% of the people in England were slaves, English slaves. This was why life was so brutal back then for the average person without much power or protection. In the 12th century, Scottish and Welsh raiders also would snatch up people and take them as slaves. Now you can see why serfs put up with what they did. At this point in time, there were slave markets all over Europe, just as there were for centuries to come. There was a thriving trade in selling slaves from Bristol in England and then sending them over to Ireland's huge slave markets. This was not indentured servitude, it was full-blown slavery. In the late Dark Ages, North Africa's pirates, called the Barbary and Corsair pirates, also became well known for their raids across most of Europe. They raided the coastlines of England, France, Spain...
I know boats back then were shitty as fuck. There's no way. A piece of fucking wood.
I'm pretty sure they were pretty good.
Where are they at now?
I mean, yeah, we went on to much bigger and better things, but if that was the only way of travel,
If they were that good, they would have held up till now.
forever.
Like type shit.
and elsewhere, taking between 1 million and 1.25 million Europeans as slaves. Although most of the raiding was just after the Dark Ages. Still, North African pirates raided Europe's coastlines from at least the 7th century to the 19th century. It's impossible to know just how many slaves they took in all that time, or even how many they captured during the Dark Ages, but the answer is a hell of a lot. Slavery was a big deal in Europe, although England and Wales could breathe a sigh of relief when the Normans banned the trade inside England in the 12th century. That didn't stop the trade, but it did calm down. You might think serfdom sounds like slavery, but it wasn't the same, at least not exactly. Serfs couldn't be bought or sold, but if the land was sold to another lord, then the serfs were automatically part of the bargain. This made a large population of peasants all but slaves in nature, but not in
It's
name.
just like getting a new CEO and the shit starts changing the company. Like,
As you'll see, they knew that and would occasionally fight back against the nobles to get themselves more rights. For one thing, they were sick of starving to death. Their diet was terrible most of the time. They usually had bread, not the bread we're used to today, but a dark bread made from rye or barley. Wheat bread was seen as a luxury, as was meat, which they might only
Wheat
eat on
bread.
holidays. It depended on their level of serfdom. What's more, the bread was sometimes contaminated with a fungus which could cause scary hallucinations or even lead to death, which brings us to a very interesting feature of the Dark Ages. In the 1300s, there were reports all over Europe of masses of people just starting to dance. Others joined in, some of them dancing until they literally dropped dead. We now call this mass hysteria or mass psychogenic illness, or at least that's one theory. Maybe the devil did it. There were epidemics in France and England, which became known as dancing manias. People wouldn't just strut their stuff, they'd often shout vulgar words and take off their clothes, thousands of them at a time, laughing and...
So that's why in
oh
movies,
my goodness.
that's why in movies when you see them at like a party and they playing all the shit, they're dancing so fucking crazily. Maybe they're trying to remember that or tell them that, yeah, they used to do this shit like crazily. You know what I'm saying? You get what I mean? You ever seen like a movie with like a medieval movie and they're playing the music and everybody's having a good time and they're dancing, but it's just like everybody's going like fucking crazy? Maybe that's like a shout out to
Back then,
this shit. Yeah,
I was thinking like maybe the food isn't good. Like the food
could be that too,
everyone's
yeah.
eating is bad. Is making them hallucinate, and now they're going crazy playing music and
thousands
of them at a time.
bro.
What the fuck? I'm having a hard time believing this. Like,
Gimmicks in France and England, which became known as dancing manias. People wouldn't just strut their stuff, they'd often shout vulgar words and take off their clothes, thousands of them at a time, laughing and crying to the point of exhaustion and death. Others made love in the streets like animals. Many broke their limbs. This could have been purely psychological, but it might have been a nervous system issue, or maybe it was that trippy bread. Spider bites were also blamed at times, but why did newcomers see the dancing and join in, then act as crazy as the crowd? That couldn't be blamed on spiders or nervous systems. There was an outbreak in 1278 in France with 200 dancers, men, women, and children. They danced so hard on a bridge over the River Meuse that it collapsed. England, Germany, and the Netherlands all saw outbreaks of dancing plagues, with demonic possession often being said to be the cause. The fact is, when life is that...
okay. Quick intermission. I'm finna warm my pizza because I'm hungry as fuck. But that is crazy as
That's
fuck.
pretty cool.
Like, I'm really glad that I was born in recent times. Like,
The fact is, when life is that hard, you can understand madness being contagious. I mean,
I don't think so.
I
bro.
don't know.
I don't think so, dude. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
You want me to?
I ate already.
Oh, fuck, where's the fly?